Hello there, fairy tale friends. My name is Fina, and I welcome you to an original tale here on SoundTales. You may think you've heard this story before, but this is the original. And it's not a tale for the very youngest listeners. This is a story marked by war, entitlement, and the deep longing for redemption. A tale of what happens when we descend into darkness and rise again, changed. It's about a tinderbox, 3 dogs, and a man who wanted nothing more than to be seen, but who lost himself along the way. This story is longer, deeper, more raw, and it reveals what can happen to us when we start believing that power is the same as justice. And in today's story, I'm joined by a special guest. I am very proud to say that the voice actor Nicklas Berglund portrays the main character, the man only known as the soldier, and maybe a few other characters as well. And now, we begin Hans Christian Andersen's tale of The Tinderbox. Chapter 1. The Soldier in the Forest. Once upon a time, there was a soldier who had long been away fighting in the king's war. Years had passed, his sword was worn, his shoes nearly falling apart, and now he walked alone through an old forest. The trees stood close, their branches grey and gnarled, as if reaching for him, as if they were trying to catch him as he passed them by. No birds were singing. No wind was moving among the leaves. Only the soldier's footsteps echoed along the path. He had nothing left. No money, no horse, no home to return to, and a head full of dreadful memories from the war. The man he once was gone. And what remained was a broken man. At times, he barely recognized himself. At times, he no longer cared who he had become. Still, he kept walking.
Will I ever get out of this damned forest? I'm completely spent. Tired. Hungry. Sore. How am I supposed to? Who's that?
He had spotted an old woman, small and hunched over, with a headscarf and a long walking stick. Her eyes gleamed strangely in the dim light. She looked straight at him, as if she could read his thoughts.
Well, well, a soldier, one who has walked far, seen and done so much, and lost even more.
She leaned slightly toward him. The soldier narrowed his eyes skeptically and leaned away from her slightly.
What do you want?
And so feisty, so perhaps you've not lost everything.
A smile crept across her wrinkled face, revealing her yellow teeth.
Tell me, soldier, would you be in need of a little gold?
What are you talking about, old woman? Where would I find gold out here in the forest?
The old woman laughed, a hoarse and raspy laugh.
Oh, there is more gold here than you can imagine. And it's close. Very close.
She turned and hobbled toward an ancient-looking tree, with a trunk so wide that 3 men could barely wrap their arms around it. And at the base of the tree yawned a dark hole, like a wide-open mouth. It was faint, but musty air was seeping out from the hole. She pointed her crooked finger down into the darkness.
Down there, soldier, you will find the gold.
She turned back to him. Her eyes gleamed in a way that made the soldier instinctively take a step back. His skin prickled.
All you have to do is go down there and fetch something for me. A tinderbox. The rest of the treasure you may keep for yourself, but the tinderbox is mine.
The soldier stood silent. Something inside him screamed that he should turn back. Leave the old woman and the forest behind and keep moving forward.
It's a trap. It's too good to be true. Turn back, walk away. Go! Just go!
Before the war, yes, then he most likely would have listened to that voice and done just that. But the war had changed him. When you've seen the worst in others, and much less the worst in yourself, when you've been forced to do things you never thought you'd be able to do, the only thing left is to drown out the alarms. The war had made it easier to silence the voices that screamed that something was wrong. They were now easier to ignore.
What does it matter? If the treasure's down there, and it's being offered to me, then why not take it?
Chapter 2. Down into the dark. The soldier stood still for a moment, staring at the tree. The black hole at its base almost looked alive.
This is no ordinary tree root.
The screaming voice inside him had gone quiet for now, and something wilder, more reckless had taken over. A hunger. A curiosity. So he stepped forward toward the opening, bent down, and he could feel the foul stench hit his face.
Oh, it smells like old cellar and dead dreams. How deep is it?
The old woman gave him a crooked smile.
Oh, it's not that far. I have a rope.
She pulled a thick rope from her sack and tied it around a sturdy branch and let the rest of it drop into the hole.
Down there are 3 large chambers. In each one a dog stands guard. But you do not need to be afraid. Just place them on my apron, and they won't touch you.
She glanced sideways at him and held out the apron. It was dirty and worn, but it looked strong.
Dogs? What kind of dogs? And why won't they touch me just because I'm holding an old apron?
You ask too many questions. Take as much gold as you'd like, but remember my tinderbox. It's in the innermost chamber.
He examined the rope. It looked old, but still strong. He fastened his sword at his side, stuffed the apron into his belt. But the screaming voice inside him was back, and it was whispering once again.
Something's wrong. Something smells wrong. She's lying. This is too good to be true. You know it. Shut up. I've made my choice.
And he began to climb down, step by step, deeper into the darkness. The air grew colder. The damp air crept through his clothes, and soon all daylight was gone. Chapter 3. The First Chamber. The soldier's boots finally touched solid ground. He felt the earth, cold and damp beneath his feet. He looked up at the hole he had come through. Far above, he could still see a glimpse of daylight. Part of him wanted to call out, to ask to be pulled back up. But it was too late now. Then he heard the old woman's voice echo down into the dark.
Go further in and through the door. And don't forget to bring my tinderbox back with you.
Yeah. I heard you.
He began moving deeper into the chamber. His eyes were slowly adjusting to the gloom, and that's when he saw it. A door. Rough, old, made of dark wood. He drew his battered sword and took a deep breath.
What in the world am I doing?
This was madness. But he had seen and done much worse during the war and pushed the thoughts aside.
It's just a dog. Or 3. What's the worst that could happen?
And he opened the door. The room was larger than he had expected. The walls were covered in moss, the ceiling lost in shadow. And there, in the center of the room, stood a large chest, and on top of it sat a dog. But not just any dog. It was enormous, larger than a calf, with fur so dark it seemed to disappear into the shadows. And its eyes were as big as tea saucers. They glinted in the darkness, as if they could see straight through him. The dog didn't move. It was awake, but completely still. No sound, no breath, no panting, just silence.
Are you awake?
Was it? It didn't seem to breathe. But when the soldier took a single step, he saw the dog's gaze slowly follow him. Its head didn't move. Its body didn't shift. Only the eyes.
Okay. You don't move. And I move really slowly. Deal?
The room almost felt alive. The air vibrated faintly, like a deep sound he couldn't hear, but could feel thrumming in his chest. He swallowed, reached down to his belt, and pulled out the old woman's apron. With slow, measured steps, he approached the chest and the dog. His heart pounded. If this was a trap, this was the moment it would spring. As he reached the chest, he saw the dog's ribcage rise and fall. It was breathing. Carefully, he reached out and lifted the dog down from the chest. Its body was heavier than he expected. He set it gently on the apron. The dog still didn't move. But those eyes, they followed every little gesture.
Don't stare at me like that.
He held his breath, then slowly lifted the lid of the chest. It was filled with copper coins. So many. More than he had seen in a long time. More than he'd thought he'd ever see again.
I was gonna miss this anyway.
He filled his hands and stuffed the coins into his pockets. Then he carefully lifted the dog back up onto the chest. And that's when he saw it. Behind the chest, nearly hidden in the shadows, was another door. To reach it, he'd have to pass the chest again. And the dog. The soldier wiped the sweat from his brow using the apron. If the dog leapt at him now...
Don't do anything crazy now, doggo.
But there was no turning back. With a pounding heart and sword in hand, he took a step forward. His eyes locked on the dog's, and the dog's on his. He crept past the chest, his hand reaching for the cold metal of the door handle. He opened it and stepped deeper into the dark. Chapter 4. The Second Chamber. The darkness was thicker here. The air was heavier. The dampness clung to his clothes and skin. The soldier moved slowly forward through a narrow, moist tunnel. Behind him lay only silence, and ahead was another door. Rough, aged wood, almost black. He drew a breath.
How many doors are there down here?
How many chambers would there be? And what would be waiting for him now? He gripped the cold handle and opened it. The room was larger than the last. The walls disappeared into shadow. Down here, there was no daylight, only darkness. But just as he stepped over the threshold, he heard a faint spark. A lone candle mounted on the wall suddenly flared to life. Its flame danced slowly, casting long shadows across the walls. Someone, or something, wanted him to see. And there was another chest, larger this time, and on top of it sat another dog. A much bigger dog. Its fur was dark, coarse, almost metallic as the flickering flame reflected in its eyes. And the eyes. This dog's eyes were as large as wagon wheels. They gleamed coolly, like two cold moons. The dog sat perfectly still, yet awake. And as the soldier stepped farther in, he saw those eyes following his every move. Slowly, measuring.
Biggest mutt so far. What's next? A freaking bear?
If the first chamber had felt unsettling, this one was worse. The soldier's chest tightened. He could turn back. But what awaited him above if he returned without the tinderbox? And what treasures lay in the final room? He swallowed. It wasn't the warning voice speaking to him now. Now, it was curiosity and greed.
This is all mine.
This was his reward, and he meant to take it. He pulled out the apron again, just to get it done, fast. He took a step. His heart pounded in his temples. When he reached the chest, he could once again see the dog's ribcage slowly rise and fall. It was very much awake, and it saw him.
Okay, big boy. Just a quick little move.
With a racing heart, he carefully lifted the dog down from the chest. It was heavier than the first one, and the eyes were always watching. He set it gently on the apron with a grunt.
Good God. What do you guys eat?
Then he held his breath and opened the chest. Silver. Silver coins. Piles of them. And his pockets were already heavy with copper. He let his fingers sweep over the silver. Then he emptied his pockets of the copper and stuffed silver coins into the pockets and under his belt and into the lining of his coat instead.
Maybe I'll make it through the winter after all.
Then, without hesitation, he lifted the dog back up onto the chest. He stood in front of the dog, which still cast long, deliberate looks at him. He leaned to the side to peek behind the dog and the chest, and sure enough, behind the chest, almost hidden in shadow, was another door. Deeper still. Another chamber, And after that, he could feel the hunger now pushing him forward. No longer cautious, but eager.
Don't stop. Don't overthink it.
The words echoed in his mind. He pressed his hand to the door handle and opened it, and stepped deeper into the cavern, and deeper into his own darkness. Chapter 5. The Third Chamber. The passage now sloped more steeply. The air grew drier, hotter. Every step felt heavier. The soldier moved slowly. His pockets were already full. And still, he wanted more. But deep inside him lay the memories. What he had done. What he had seen. Blood, screams, burned villages, and faces. Faces he could never forget. He usually pushed them away, like now, focused on the next step, the next goal. Ahead of him, yet another door, larger than the others, made of dark metal.
So close now.
He gripped the warm handle and opened it. A deep rumble echoed, and a fireplace flared to life at the far end of the chamber. Blue-green flames leapt high toward the vaulted ceiling. No firewood, no source, and yet it burned. The flames cast quick, twitching shadows across the floor and walls. The air shimmered with heat, and there stood one last chest. A massive chest. And on top of it sat yet another dog. A gigantic dog. Its fur was dark and dense, with a faint oily shimmer, and its eyes were larger than mill wheels. Two massive orbs staring straight at him. This dog also sat motionless, but still awake. Very awake. And as the soldier stepped over the threshold, a low, rumbling growl rose from the dog's chest. Slowly, the dog tilted its head, its eyes locked on the soldier. This dog knew.
You know why I'm here. And I'm gonna take it.
His chest tightened, but different thoughts were now running through his head.
I can do this. 2 chambers behind me. Soon I'll be out. Soon I'll be rich.
He pulled out the apron again. Just get it done one more time, quickly now. His fingers trembled slightly. He took one step, then another. The dog's growl deepened, not louder, but more intense. Now he was at the chest. The dog had turned its head and was staring him directly in the eyes. The soldier saw the flickering firelight glowing in those enormous eyes. And with a pounding heart, he wrapped both arms around the dog, tensed every muscle, and slowly lifted it from the chest. The dog was gigantic, heavy as lead. The soldier's arms shook under the weight.
Come on!
But he held firm, breathed heavily, and set the dog gently down on the apron with a great sigh. Then he held his breath again and opened the last chest. Gold. Gold coins, chains, goblets, more wealth than he had ever imagined he'd see in his lifetime. And then, the thoughts of entitlement poured in.
This is my reward for everything I've done, everything I've survived. Someone sees me. Someone is rewarding me.
A feeling surged through him, a hot current burning through his blood.
I don't have to regret what I've done. Not anymore. All of this is mine. I've earned it.
He filled his pockets, his belt, his sleeves, as much as he could carry. And now, a new thought found him.
No one is taking this from me.
But when he tried to move, he felt it. The weight. The gold clinked, pressed, chafed. And now, it started to burn. The metal against his skin, scorching through the fabric. But he refused to let go. His breath shortened. His steps grew heavy. He stumbled. And there, behind the chest, was another door. Smaller than the others, made of dark metal, glowing hot from the heat of the fire. He staggered forward. He reached out, but the treasure he was carrying made it hard to move. His fingers slipped. His balance faltered. The gold was now burning against his body. He let out a frustrated hiss through clenched teeth.
I will get through this.
He hesitated, then dropped a few coins. A chain. A belt. The treasure clattered loudly as it hit the floor. Then, with a hard motion, he pressed his hand against the scorching handle.
Mine!
The pain tore through him. But still, he turned the handle. A gentle coolness met him as the door flung open. He stepped over the threshold and closed the door behind him. Gold coins were falling all around him. The room was round. The walls made of damp stone. Between the stones, old roots curled, thin and hard, as if the forest itself held the chamber in place. Wet moss grew in the cracks, and in the center, on the worn stone floor, stood a pedestal, and on it, a cushion of dark purple velvet, dusty and covered in cobwebs, and yet a faint glow, as if the object resting on the cushion was softly glowing. And now he saw that the thing resting in the center of the cushion, bathed in warm light, was the Tinderbox. Chapter 6. Back Up Again. The Tinderbox rested heavily in his hand. It was still glowing faintly. The heat burned through the leather, but he refused to let go.
Mine. All of this is mine.
He tucked it inside his coat, tightly against his chest, and stood up. His pockets were heavy. His belt chafed. His whole body ached. But now he had to get out. First through the round chamber, back to the small metallic door. It was still hot, but he forced his way through. The third chamber. The hearth still burned. Blue-green flames leapt high. The heat scorched his skin. And he didn't stop. Not now. He dragged himself onward, past the fire, back to the door, to the second chamber. The candle still flickered on the wall. The dog still sat on the chest, watching. Its eyes followed him.
Stare all you want. I don't care anymore.
He stumbled past. Too heavy to sneak now. The first chamber. The air damp again. The darkness thick. The first dog sat just as before. Its eyes followed every step. But the soldier wasn't stopping. He was back to the room where the rope hung. And up there, a glimpse of daylight.
Up. Just up!
With burning hands, he gripped the rope, hand over hand. The weight of the gold dragged him downward. His muscles screamed, but he kept going. Hand over hand, higher still. His skin split, blood mixed with sweat. Then, finally, he reached the opening. He pulled himself up with a final effort and collapsed onto the ground. His chest heaved. The world spun. His entire body trembled. And there, standing above him, was the old woman. She leaned over him, eyes narrowed, and staring at him.
My tinderbox! Do you have my tinderbox?
Her voice was shrill. He held his breath.
No.
His hands clenched around his coat. He saw her crooked fingers reach for him, grasping for his chest, for the tinderbox.
Give it to me!
No!
Give it to me!
No!
With a swift, exhausted motion, he slapped her hands away. But his movements were too strong. The old woman stumbled, tripped on her own feet, and fell backward. A sharp sound of skull against stone. And then, silence. The soldier laid still, breathing hard. Thoughts were spinning. Then, slowly, he sat up. She laid motionless, her face turned toward the sky, her eyes empty. He stared at her, his jaw clenched tight.
You shouldn't have come at me so hard. It was your own fault. No one knows. No one saw. No one will miss you.
His breathing slowed. He stood still. The gold, the strange tinderbox, that was all that mattered now. He drew a deep, shaky breath and left the old woman behind and limped away into the forest. Chapter 7. The Golden Return. The town lay wrapped in the glow of evening as the soldier arrived. His pockets jingled with coins, his eyes gleamed like flames, and his steps were confident and heavy.
It was worth it. Every bit of it.
He stopped in front of a boy on the street and tossed him a silver coin.
Buy yourself something nice, kid.
Why, thank you, sir.
He moved on, into the inn. Every head turned. People stood up, nodded at him, bowed even.
Welcome, sir. Will you be needing a room for the night?
Prepare your finest room and a bath. And, send up tobacco. The best you've got.
Well, of course, as you wish.
The next day, he dressed in velvet, fastened his new sword at his waist, and studied himself in the mirror. A new man, a gentleman, a victor. Later that evening, on the street, between market stalls and lamplight, he came across a limping man with a deep scar across his chin. The man hobbled forward with a small pouch of tobacco in his hand.
Excuse me, sir. I think you dropped this.
Oh, thank you, stranger. Here, take this.
The soldier tossed him a silver coin.
And hey, if you're ever willing to do me another favor, there's more where that came from.
What sort of favor?
I'll let you know. And when I do, you'll be getting gold.
The man bowed, and the soldier walked on. And above him, the stars glittered, as if the heavens themselves approved of his new life. Chapter 8. The Princess. He had everything now. Gold, satin, silk, velvet, weapons, power. He lived in the finest room in the city, drank the most expensive wine, bought new clothes every week, a new cloak, a new sword, a new horse. People bowed as he passed, and he smiled. But inside, he felt hollow, a hunger that refused to fade. The days blurred together. The wine no longer satisfied. The bed felt colder. And the gold... Yes, the gold sank away like water between his fingers. One evening he sat alone in his room, an empty bottle on the table. The fire had gone out, and silence lay over everything like a wet blanket. He sighed, stretched out on the bed, and his hand found its way to his pocket. And there it was, the tinderbox. He pulled it out and flipped open the lid.
What did you want this for? With all that gold and treasure that's down there?
As his thoughts circled, he let the steel gently scrape against the flint. Not on purpose, no plan. Just something for his hands to do while he was thinking. And then it happened. A silent thud, a gust of wind on his skin, and then the sound of heavy paws. He sat up with a start, and there it stood. The dog, larger than any ordinary dog. Dark fur, enormous eyes, like tea saucers, staring.
What the...
Then he heard it. Not in the room, but inside his head. 1 strike, me. 2 strikes, the second. 3 strikes, the third. Strike 3 in succession, and we all will come.
You obey me?
As long as you hold the tinderbox, we answer to your call. He stared at it, his pulse pounding in his temples, but no more fear, just something else. Power.
1 strike, you. 2, the second. 3, the third. 3 quick strikes, all 3 dogs. You're the first. I understand. Now leave.
The dog blinked slowly, and without a sound, it vanished. Not in smoke, not in light, but as if reality folded around it, as if it had never been there at all. But the feeling remained. He stayed seated. He breathed slowly, and the smile that spread across his lips wasn't relief. It was satisfaction. He had been rewarded. Again. The next morning at the inn, he heard whispers.
Did you hear? The king's daughter is turning 18. The most beautiful in the kingdom. But no one's allowed to see her.
No one's allowed to see her, huh? No one but me.
He knew what to do. The sunlight spilled across the floor. The tinderbox rested on his belt. And when night fell, he went up to his room. Locked the door and took out the tinderbox. 3 strikes, clear and firm. And there was another dog. Larger, darker, eyes like mill wheels, shifting, empty. It was the 3rd dog.
Go to the castle. Bring me the princess.
The dog vanished. The soldier sat down by the fire. His hands no longer trembled. His breath was steady. 1 hour. 2 almost. Then the sound of paws. The door opened, and there was the dog. And in its jaws, it had the princess. Asleep, breathing softly, totally unknowing. Her hair fell over her shoulder. Her face was pale, beautiful, almost unreal.
She's mine.
The dog laid her gently on the bed and left, silently. He just sat there and stared at her. He hardly dared to move. But when the morning light began to creep in,
Take her back. Now! Take her back to the castle.
and she was gone. But the feeling remained.
I will see her again.
Chapter 9. Night after night. He couldn't stop thinking about the princess. The days felt empty. Meals tasted of nothing. The wine burned, but no longer intoxicated like before.
What good is gold? Now that I've seen her.
At night he lay awake, staring into the dark. His thoughts circled his mind like predators.
I want to see her again. I need to see her again.
And so he brought out the tinderbox, rubbed it between his hands as if it were alive, as if it could hear him. And 3 sparks. The dog appeared. Its eyes glinted in the dark, obedient.
Go to the castle. Bring her to me.
Night after night, and every time, the princess, carried gently in the dog's jaws. She grew more beautiful with every visit. Her hair spilled like water. Her face was still. Her chest rose and fell in the rhythm of sleep. And the soldier sat by her side and watched her and drank in every detail.
Mine. She will be all mine.
He brushed his fingers across the blanket where her arm lay and listened to her breathing. He felt something pulse in his chest that he couldn't name. But at dawn, it was always the same.
Quickly! Take her back!
And the dog obeyed, vanished into the shadows. At the castle, the rumors spread like wildfire.
The princess is fading. She sleeps so restlessly. Something is happening at night.
The king summoned guards to watch over her, to protect her. They sewed markers into her clothing, hid in the shadows, waited, listened. And in the city, there were whispers.
Someone's taking the princess.
Someone with dark powers.
A man who can call on something from the shadows.
The soldier heard, and he smiled.
Let them whisper. They can't stop me. She is my reward.
The nights continued like that, and the silence between them grew heavier, the dreams darker. He began speaking to her while she slept, told her of his victories, of the blood he had spilled, and of the world he would give her. Until one morning, after the dog had carried the princess away.
Next time, I'm not letting go of her.
Chapter 10. The Trail. The nights had become routine. Take out the tinderbox, 3 strikes against stone. The biggest dog would come, and the princess was brought to him. But inside the castle, they knew. The court had figured it out. Someone was abducting the princess in the night. They didn't know who, and they didn't know how, but they intended to find out. The king summoned his advisors. The queen leaned forward.
We must catch him. Not with swords, not yet. With cunning. With our wits.
That same evening, as the princess was dressed for bed, her chambermaid sewed a small pouch into the hem of her gown, filled with the finest buckwheat flour. They made a tiny hole in the bottom, barely visible, but enough. When they were done, the maid looked at her.
Are you sure you want to do this, my lady?
The princess shook her head. Her voice was low, but steady.
No. But I'm doing it anyway. Every morning, I don't know if I've been dreaming or awake. I hear the most horrible stories. It's all a haze, and I grow weaker each night. Whoever is doing this must be stopped at any cost. Someone like that cannot go free.
The guards were ready. Several men in armor hidden in the shadows. As soon as she vanished, they would follow. Up at the inn, the soldier sat awake. Both his breath and his thoughts were racing.
This time, I'm keeping her.
He took out the tinderbox. 3 sparks flew from the stone.
Go! Bring her to me!
And as always, the dog's paws disappeared into the night. A short while later, he heard heavy steps in the corridor, and there was the dog, and the princess cradled in its jaws. But this night, something felt different. As the dog laid her down on the bed, she stirred. Her breath was fast and shallow. Her eyelids trembled. She was awake. The soldier froze, caught off guard. And then he heard her voice, faint but clear.
Here they come.
He went still, and then he heard noise. Heavy steps, metal against stone. The guards' shouts echoed from the streets below.
Damn it!
Princess, you get your weapons ready?
Back, dog! Now! Go!
But it was too late. The guards had already followed the trail of flour through the city. They stormed the inn, up the stairs, straight to his door. Before he could move, the door burst open. Soldiers rushed in. They threw him on the floor and chained his wrists.
This is a mistake! I've done nothing wrong! The king owes me!
He tried to speak, to protest, but the soldiers gave him no chance. His jaw tightened. On the table lay the tinderbox. They dragged him out of the inn, down the stairs, and out onto the street. And there, the people waited. Men, women, children. They pointed. They spat at him.
That's him! The one that took
Traitor!
the princess!
A thief!
Hang him!
He's betrayed our
Off
kingdom!
with his head!
And the soldier. Inside him, only fury was growing.
Fools! You know nothing. I risked my life for this kingdom. I bled for that coward king who sat safe in his damn castle while we fought in mud and blood. And now you point at me as if I've done something worse than that. I deserve this. The princess is my right. You should all kneel before me. How dare you?
The chains scraped against his wrists. Every step grew heavier. The king's guards dragged him through the city, up through the castle gates, past the sentries, up the long staircases, and into the throne room. There sat the king. His gaze was hard. He rose slowly. His voice echoed through the hall.
This man who stole my daughter, who used dark powers to violate the king's house, he is a criminal who I find guilty, and I sentence him to death. The execution will take place at dawn.
You call me a criminal? I was your soldier! I gave my life, my blood, my brothers for your kingdom, while you sat safe behind your walls. You sent us to die! And now you want my head for taking what you locked away. She belongs to you no more than you deserve that crown on your head.
The king raised his hand.
Silence! You are no longer a soldier. You are a traitor. A man who stole in the night, who came from the shadows, and who will never again see the light of day. Take him away.
The guards tightened their grip and pulled him back. He struggled, braced himself, and the chains clattered loudly.
You're a coward and a liar! A pitiful shadow of a king! You know I speak the truth! This kingdom stands on our backs, not yours!
But the door slammed shut behind him, and the sound of his voice disappeared into the stone darkness. Chapter 11. The Tinderbox. The news spread through the city like wildfire. The soldier had been captured. The princess had been saved. The king's order: execution at dawn. In an alley not far from the inn sat the limping man with a scar across his chin. He too had heard the news. The soldier, the one who'd thrown silver around like breadcrumbs and had promised him more.
If you're ever willing to do me another favor,
You'll be getting gold.
And now, that soldier sat in the dungeon, with his head on the chopping block. The man narrowed his eyes. It was now or never. He knew who to talk to. Which guard liked a little extra silver, and who could smuggle someone into the dungeons. Late at night, cold stone walls, a lone figure slid between bars and shadows and came to the soldier's cell. He looked in through the darkness and whispered,
"Psst, soldier, you promised me gold. What do you need?"
The soldier stirred and crawled toward the bars.
"I need a tinderbox. It's still on the table at the inn. Bring it. Now."
The man with the scar nodded and disappeared into the dark. When he returned to the inn, it was silent. Tables were overturned, candle stubs glowing faintly in their holders. And there, among splintered debris, it still lay. The tinderbox. He grabbed it, wrapped it in a piece of cloth, and slipped back into the night. A short while later, shuffling steps in the prison corridor, and a bundle was pushed between the bars. The soldier took it, unwrapped it with trembling hands, and there it was. Cold, solid, power.
"You came back to me."
He held it to his chest and pressed it to his skin like it still burned. The man with the scar slowly backed away.
"Remember your promise. My golden reward." "Oh, I promise."
The man with the scar vanished in the dark. The soldier remained. He fondled the cold metal under his fingers. A faint smile crept across his dirt-streaked face.
"You'll have more gold than you can carry."
He hid the tinderbox under his cloak, let his fingers rest on it in the dark, and then a new smile. Cold, sharp.
"Soon you will all kneel to me."
Chapter 12. The Crown. Dawn arrived, cold and grey. The castle gates opened, and on the square, the people were already waiting. The guards led the soldier out, chains on his wrists, head held high, back straight. He looked at the people staring at him.
"Fools! They know nothing. I deserve the princess and wealth. Everything I found."
Up at the scaffold, the executioner stood ready. The axe gleamed in the morning light. Further back on the castle steps stood the king and queen, with the princess at their side. She was pale, but standing. Trumpets sounded. The crowd fell silent. The guards seized the soldier and dragged him toward the block. The king stepped forward.
Do you have any last words?
"Yes, I do. I wanted to be forgiven for everything I did for you, for what you asked me to become. But I wasn't. So if I'm not gonna have forgiveness, then I will at least take my reward. And I will take it now."
He grabbed the tinderbox. A cold smile spread across his face. He lifted it toward the stone by the block. First, silence. Then, a deep rumble. The ground trembled. From the shadows, through the gates, they appeared. The 3 enormous dogs, fur like shadows, eyes like moons. The crowd screamed. The guards dropped their weapons, but the soldiers smiled.
Tear them down! Crush the court! Make the kingdom mine! But don't touch the princess! The princess is mine.
The dogs leapt forward. Blood, cries, chaos. The soldier's chain snapped. He tore himself free. The king drew his sword, but it was too late. One of the dogs brought him down. The queen was dragged away, and those who tried to flee did not get far. And the princess stood still, motionless, cold, frozen in terror and fright. The soldier's gaze found her.
Now, you can be all mine, my queen.
The princess swallowed, still frozen with fear. At last, everything settled. Days passed. The court lay in ruins. Most had fled the kingdom or perished. Those who stayed did so out of fear. No one dared defy him. The people who had once whispered of justice were now silent. They had seen what he could summon. In the ruins of the old court, a new retinue was forced together, a new council. And before them all, the soldier demanded a wedding and the crown. The princess, now queen, stood by his side, in a dress of black velvet, to symbolize her grief. Her face was pale, her eyes were cold. The ceremony was held in a hall that still bore traces of blood. Then, a feast. Tables were set. Wine jugs emptied. Songs were sung. He drank and drank. Drunk on victory and power. At last he rose and slammed his goblet onto the table.
Now you have a king you deserve. I have fought, spilled my own and others' blood, sacrificed everything I have and was for this kingdom. And now I wear the crown. It is nothing but fair. Everything that is mine, I have earned.
He swayed and laughed. The people in the hall stood silent.
Why are you all so quiet? You should be thanking me. Bowing down to me.
But the people remained silent, their eyes dark but afraid. He didn't see them. He kept drinking, and when night fell, he took her with him to his new chamber. Outside, the dogs waited, guarding the doors. He sank into the bed. The crown lay heavy on his brow. His eyes were glazed. He reached out his hand.
My queen.
Then the weight fell over him. Sleep struck like a stone. Heavy. Obscenely drunk. His loud snores filled the chamber. She rose, silent. The princess, now queen. She had seen where he kept the tinderbox. Slowly, she slipped her hand beneath his cloak. Her fingers closed around the cold metal. She drew it out with a quiet sigh of relief. She lifted it toward the stone by the fireplace. and in her head, one single thought echoed. Now you'll get what you truly deserve. And so ends Hans Christian Andersen's tale of the Tinderbox. That was quite a fate for that soldier. The war changed him. He began the story by climbing down into the darkness, but he was already carrying a darkness within him. We never truly know what people have been through, what they've seen, what they've done, or what they've been forced to do before we meet them. And sometimes what once felt right can turn into something entirely different when you've carried sorrow for too long. War doesn't just leave marks on the ground. It leaves marks on the heart and soul. And some marks never lead you back home again. But perhaps that's exactly why we tell stories. To remember, to understand and to choose differently if the day ever comes when it's our turn to climb down into darkness for something that seems too good to be true. Thank you for listening to The Tinderbox as an original tale. Please share in the comments what your favorite story is, and maybe that will be the one I bring to life next time, right here on SoundTales.